Ousmane, Director for African IFPRI USA, Dr. Ousmane.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Commissioner, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to have you with us again. We have been here for 3 days now, 2.5, and I think we had very good discussions here. It was a nice set of hours of exchange. I'm really pleased by the number of people who have accepted the invitation who are here. Some have traveled very far to come to the meeting. Thank you for that. Some of you have gone through some logistical difficulties. We appreciate your patience and your graciousness and your understanding. This was a set of rich debates and a lot of lessons for us to follow through once we leave here. Madam Commissioner, the Director, Zena, my own DG Shenggen, and the representative of the DGs who are around here, all the permanent secretaries and directors, starting with Director Addis and his team. This was an amazing meeting. Thank you to the African Union Commission for everything you've done to make it possible. It was at a time when you really had so many things that you had to do. But again, we are surprised. That's the kind of leadership we've been getting from here over the years. The dedication and the perseverance to move the kind of agenda forward. Thank you for all of that. Thank you to our own team who have also worked very hard to make this possible. I would like to just give you some of the take-home for us, particularly for those, I think, for the broader audience. We, as we do during this meeting, have looked at the core indicators of credit, what the African leaders through the African Union and the NEPA Secretariat have decided that they wanted to be judged by in terms of making progress, those critical indicators. We presented them here, and what we saw is encouraging. The progress that has taken place in Africa over the last 10, 15, 20 years is continuing. The outlook is positive. Yes, we can be satisfied by any progress just because we really have lost several decades through crisis, through instability, through social strife, through world market, through our own political and policy mistakes. But people who think like I do would have seen us as nothing but, a growing pain. Our countries were barely, government 50, 60 years old. It's not much in the life of a nation. But we have come out of those difficulties. But the difficulties is they leave behind a huge burden, huge gaps that we have to fill in terms of growth, in terms of welfare for our people, in terms of trade, in terms of infrastructure. So yes, we had a couple of nice decades, but we're not satisfied enough. We're encouraged by that, we're not satisfied. And that's what the indicators show. We're moving forward, but we're quite a bit to do. In particular, it's really the quality of action that will matter. Dr. Ababa has talked about it in different ways, in different forms. And we heard it also here from Commissioner Atuga from ECOWAS. So the quality of action is going to allow us to sustain the progress of the last 2 decades, but also even broaden and expand. And that's where our efforts, our partnership with the African Union, PCA, and the regional communities, and all of you here, that's where our effort really comes into play. So helping improve the quality of action on the ground, and therefore improve the outcomes of the development process. in particular, because it was the topic of this year's ATO. Again, it's been a long time since Africa had strong trade performance indicators. Yes, we were in many sectors the king of the global markets. I remember how I used to tease my American friends about how Senegal dominated the oil seeds in Ghana markets, before that Nigeria and Gambia, and coffee, cocoa, tea, and so on and so forth. So that was the 60s. Now we're starting to see African countries becoming more competitive, gaining market share, reversing the loss of global market share decline. All those are really trending in the right direction. The scale is not where we want it to be, but it's just encouraging. We have seen African countries expanding intra-trade regionally at the African continental level. Again, very refreshing. So if we keep on going in the right direction, I think that will be quite important for us. And that's where efforts like ReSAKSS can help understand what are the drivers of the recent changes, where are the success factors, what can we learn from that? Because development again is nothing else but knowing what works and repeating it and expanding it and adapting it. Basically, where are your repeatable success models? And we're trying to develop the learning processes to have that within Canada. We talked about supporting regional accountability processes, both in terms of the capacity, technical and institutional, as well as the processes. We talked about, in that context, the strategic analysis, knowledge support system platforms at the country level. We also talked about the joint sector reviews. We had very rich sets of parallel sessions, a good summary and reporting back from our colleagues from the North. So I will not say much about that, but just to mention a couple of points that came out that I think are really important for us to pay attention to. We know what the SAKSS are trying to achieve. Creating the dynamism at the country level to use the local centers of expertise in a much more strategic way. Link it to the demand that I've described here, the data, the analytics that feed into the decision-making process. Organizing it, leverage to extend existing investment by governments into the faculty of economics, the growth statistics, the planning units, diagnostic centers, the think tanks. There's so much that our governments are spending at the country level in those systems. How can you mobilize it and then link it with the demand that Dr. described at the country? That is really what the SAKSS is trying to do. And for that to happen, they have to be there for the broader agenda. They have to be able to respond to the broader agenda. And therefore, one of the issues that came from the presidency is really important, and I would like our colleagues from the individual countries who are here, who are hosting the SAKSS, who are supporting the SAKSS, to take note of one of the conclusions from the panel session. The governance structure, the governance nature of the SAKSS matters. If the SAKSS becomes a pilot project, a petty project, or just a specific activity in the Department of Planning, in the M&A unit, or even in the ministry, serving only their needs, it will have missed the opportunity of creating the condition to support evidence-based policy, to support review processes, to inform policy making. So have an inclusive governance structure, get the non-state actors in there, get the different ministries in there, get the private sector in there, to exchange on the nature of the work of the SAKSS, its output, the use of it, and it has not just implications for the effectiveness of the SAKSS. It is important for the legitimacy and, yes, for the independence of the SAKSS. If the SAKSS is too closely identified with the ministry, it limits what it can say and what it can do. If it is seen as a platform that is broadly embraced by a broader set of stakeholder groups, it's freer to express itself. It can publish its findings the way they are, it can get its messages the way they are. So it protects the ministry itself. So the broader the governance structure it is, and that's really, really important. Dr. Abebe and others and our notes coordinators talked about the importance of mobilizing existing expertise in the country. There may be thousands of people in the world and others, and we can provide some support. but policy making is a daily business. The IFPRIs of the world can come in maybe every 6 months or every year, things like that. We will not achieve the quality of policy that we want unless local centers of expertise are in the middle of it. The hope is that SAKSS will be able to go out, engage with those centers of expertise from your budget economics all the way to your independent think tanks. Bring them on board, link them to an agenda that they can work on to support your countries. And that will take really a SAKSS node that is, yes, hosted by the ministry, but that is owned more broadly, that can mobilize your centers of expertise. Then create, therefore, the partnership possibilities for the IFPRIs and others of the world. But they will be there to respond on a daily basis to many of the questions that are evolving. Somebody said the SAKSS is relevant and will be funded. Sustainability will be an issue. The best way to make the SAKSS relevant is to plug the SAKSS agenda right in the middle of the policy debate, the dialogue and the review process in the countries. If it is a sector working group that is the place for dialogue, the SAKSS is right in there. If that platform doesn't exist, the SAKSS has to go out, facilitate stakeholders to set up such a platform. But it's extremely important. Those three things really will define the success and the impact and the sustainability of the SAKSS. Governance, active networking of local expertise, and linking its work to the dialogue process in the country. So we look forward to working with you doing that, and we trust that many of us here who are hosting those sites will continue to exchange with the ReSAKSS nodes, and we'll continue to look at the outcome of the parallel sessions and how they would like to work on that. Then the next item is on the GSR. Every country is doing some type of review, which is good. But just I just said, we cannot be satisfied with the progress that we're making. Same way we cannot be satisfied just for doing something. We want to do it the best way possible, just because of the time we lost, because of the huge backlog we have in terms of improving the livelihood of our people. So the GSR asset was about how do we improve, make the best review process possible, given the institutional realities of the individual countries. So the criteria of comprehensiveness as defined and discussed in the parallel session, the criteria of inclusivity, robustness of the analysis, those are extremely important. So whoever was doing one set of the review and see the opportunity to express and align with this, I think that is something quite important to do. There was a mention of the importance of timing with the budget cycle. There was an issue that we have to look forward to some more leadership from the African Union Commission and the economic communities, but also among the governments, to bring the donor agencies into the GSR process. Not just as an observer, not just as somebody to review the outcomes, but also partners that submit their programs to the review process. At the end of the day, they're working for the same goals that the governments do. The need for alignment, verification, coordination, fit, and support, all those things are extremely important. So we do hope that that is going to happen. It started this year during the assessment and the piloting, but we need more of that. So we are happy to have noticed that there has been some initial positive follow-up to the GSR assessments. Examples of Malawi, examples of Mozambique, also we heard from Burkina Faso and Senegal, in fact. There has been something happening after the GSR assessment, and countries are willing to learn from it and what they need to do. Way forward now, what they asked me to talk about. We have worked hard over the last year with our partners in the countries, to assess the capacities for the SAKSS. So we did 14 country needs assessment. We facilitated because they were led by the countries. Those are ready. I think they may have been on the conference site. So we'll work to disseminate them a little bit more and see how they can generate some action on the ground in those countries where the SAKSS are going to be established, but also in those where the assessment has been made and there was not yet a plan to set up the SAKSS platform. We also would like to set aside the lessons from the GSR assessment. The reports country-specific, help the countries with the assessment of the GSR in place. But there are many more countries that could learn from it. So we synthesized a report in addition to disseminating the GSR to spread the lessons and help those countries that could benefit from those lessons. We will be working with the African Commission and NPCA and other partners on finalizing the results framework. In particular, adjusting the indicator set so that it aligns with the needs of Malabo and the results framework. We look forward within the ReSAKSS team to achieve a goal of always high, which is an under 12 benchmark, meaning that the data that will be available on our website and our reports to track the indicators will not be older than 12 months. Okay. We've started this year, you will see that public expenditure data is from 2013. So starting next year, we don't take responsibility for all the data here, but the indicators that you have assigned to us, they will not be older than 1 year. And we'll look forward to realizing it next year. We will work with the countries where we had a GSR assessment on follow-up, and we'll look forward to expanding it to more countries. We will have signed, as what we said, 12 agreements for the establishment of the SAKSS platforms. We will work on the organization, and we look forward to adding some more SAKSS platform as funding at the country level becomes available. And finally, the next annual trends and outlook report will be presented at the next annual conference. And the topic for that, and then again, we've been lucky when we decided 4 years ago on the topics up to 2015, we had no clue that trade is going to be so important in Malabo. But also we didn't know that Malabo is going to be so ambitious in terms of transformation of Africa. So the topic for next year is towards a middle-income Africa. Visioning how Africa can transform itself to a middle-income environment in the next 2-3 decades. What changes need to take place? What are the trends that need to be bent? They're bendable. What are the kinds of agendas that can be put in place? What capacities, what investment priorities, so that in 2-3 decades from now, we will achieve that goal for our people. So we will, during that process, towards the next conference, look at what happened over the last 20 years. Why the progress? How the progress? Where are the factors? And how can those be scaled up and scaled out? So it's going to be a learning journey. So we look forward to the next conference and hope that you will be part of the journey. Madam Commissioner, Directorate of CG, dear colleagues from the communities and partners from the countryside here, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you to the AEC for the leadership. And to everyone here in the room, there's really something historical about this. I think that the sense of excitement, of hope, of achievement has existed only once in the history of Africa. It was around independence. When those who were fighting for independence and who were leading the First Nations were very hopeful that they were creating something. It was a new dawn. I think we're back there. All the indicators pointing forward, our leadership taking responsibility and having such a magnificent partnership around, it's a very exciting moment. We're happy and grateful to be part of that, and we thank everybody who is here. Please seize that moment and be part of the new excitement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ousmane. I would like to thank Ousmane for his clear and very informative conclusion and the way forward. Ousmane has given us the sign of the roadmap where Africa to be after 2 to 3 decades. Thank you very much. With this, I think we are approaching to conclude our conference. We hope the conference is successfully completed. Now I will call upon Shenggen Director for General IFPRI USA to make a closing remark.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I know it's very late. Thank you for your endurance. This is the end of the 3 days conference. And for the last 2 or 3 decades here in Africa, we've made tremendous progress. I remember I came here in Africa probably 20 years ago. Over the last 20 years, I have observed tremendous progress in this continent. Hunger, poverty have come down. Trade has increased, investment has come, agriculture has grown, most was agricultural. So the country is moving towards the right track to achieve middle-income countries. So many countries have reached that or almost there. But in the meantime, the continent continues to struggle with some of the challenges. Climate change, the poverty hunger level still relatively high because some of the diseases, like Ebola, the recent outbreak of Ebola. But the good news is the African leaders are committed. Many of you have mentioned about Malabo commitments or declarations. So the leaders have committed to produce more with mass, with sustainable food production. Leaders committed to open trade, open more transparent trade, for investment. This morning I came over here about 1:30. I spent only 5 minutes to go through the visa application and going through customs. I didn't have the visa. This is a record in my whole life. Visa application going through the customs, 5 minutes. So this is not unique here in this country, in Ethiopia. I went to Tanzania, I went to Kenya just 7 months ago. The visa application process is so nice, so clean. And for Chinese, I really appreciate that. But doing trade means a lot. It means you really try to facilitate trade and investment. Could you imagine some of our neighbors in Asia? Even you provide enough materials, enough application in advance, you still don't get a visa in 2 or 3 months. That deters investment. That deters trade. I can see commitment from the countries here and from the region. And most importantly, the Malabo commitment that declared that the continent would like to end hunger and malnutrition by 2025. So this is not impossible. However, this really provides aspiration for many, not only in this continent, but also in other parts of the world. So ending hunger and malnutrition by 2025 is an aspiration goal. It is also achievable if we all work together. So that also demands ReSAKSS to do more. 10 years ago, 2 targets, 6% agricultural growth, 10% budget allocation. I think we've achieved a lot. Higher agricultural growth, higher allocation of the government budget to agriculture. So in the future, ReSAKSS needs to broaden its scope to nutrition, to hunger, to climate change, to cross-boundary diseases. I'm glad that John McDermott is sitting here. So I hope the CGI ReSAKSS programs, not only agriculture, nutrition, and health, the whole CGI line, the CGI, the new strategy for SNF, needs to work with African partners to listen to their demand, to make sure that their work is relevant, make sure that their work will finally achieve together with our partners. Then in the development of the CGI ReSAKSS programs, make sure that the consultations will be held here listen to demand, to build a strong partnership with African partners. So at least from my side, from IFPRI, as one of the 50 centers directors, I'm committed to make sure that in the next round of strategy results framework, next round of CGI listening programs, we make sure that we use ReSAKSS as a sounding board, as a platform to listen, to hear from you, and to make sure that our work is relevant, is legitimate. So finally, I just want to thank my colleagues, particularly Ousmane Badiane, his leadership in making sure that IFPRI has a strong presence here in the country. For your information, more than 50% of IFPRI's research is budget are spent here in this country. We have 2 regional offices, one in Senegal and one here in Addis. In Addis and by Gulf, we try to use that office to work more closely with the African Union Commission. And in the meantime, we also have 7 or 8 strong country strategies. So one typical program here is in Ethiopia. So Bart and many others are working with the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade and Commerce. So we are here in Africa to work with you. So I want to thank my colleagues for their effort in doing that. I also would like to thank our development partners who provide very much financial support. USAID, DFID, IFPRI, Netherlands, and beyond. And of course, finally, I wanted to show my strong appreciation of your leadership from the African Union Commission, particularly Madam Commissioner, for your strong support of this partnership. With that, thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, Shenggen, for your closing remark. Now, I will invite myself to make a closing remark on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. I am Zena, as you know me, Director for Planning and Cadre Focal Person and Facilitator of SARS establishment. Your Excellency, Ousmane, Commissioner for Rural Economy and Agriculture of the African Union Commission, Shenggen, and Director General International Food Policy Institute, USA, Excellencies, conference participants, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to extend my appreciation to African Union Commission, IFPRI, and ReSAKSS for the privilege I have been given to make a closing remark as a successful completion of the ReSAKSS 2014 annual conference. As you know, preparations are underway to make up on the future decade cadre implementation while looking further to our future vision. We need to also recognize our past participation in the implementation of cadre in our respective countries. One of the key features behind the cadre approach is that it provides a single platform to strengthen mutual accountability for the state and national actors to identify, align, coordinate the activities within a clear policy framework for agriculture that has strong national ownership. There have been varying degrees of progress in translating the cadre vision into reality. Most countries have established elaborate mutual accountability mechanisms for donor coordination, stakeholders that are aligned to cadre principles. In Ethiopia, rural economic development and food security readiness is established and operational modalities through which traditional donor partners and stakeholders coordinate assistance to align with government priorities at national level. The Ethiopian government appears to place a high priority on donor coordination in general, and agriculture appears to be a sector where government-donor relations work best. with this platform as one of the better functioning donor government committee. Despite the variety of experience across countries in developing and implementing the CADA, there appears to be agreement on one aspect, that the CADA and related initiatives are shifting away from a focus on public investment in agriculture and place more emphasis on the role of private sector investment. The New Alliance and the Grow Africa initiatives are examples of this trend, with broad recognition that private sector focused initiatives can contribute to CADA's efforts and complement public investment. In most countries, such initiatives are currently at an early stage, but are expected to be sped up. Excellencies, conference participants, ladies and gentlemen, learning lessons from our past experience can be considered as a step forward in the right direction of the realization of the upcoming CADA. In this regard, we need to recognize and give priority consideration to quite a number of issues, which, among others, include private investment in agriculture appears to be broadly encouraged across the African continent and supported within the CADA for its potential to increase growth and productivity and support smallholder farmers. Hence, we need to give adequate attention to support the private sector to enable them to play significant role in the agricultural growth and transformation. While we must acknowledge that the smallholder farmers and the associations are part and parcel of the private sector. Secondly, the realization of cultural growth and transformation agenda will only be achieved if and only if the right policies are in place. As it is paramount important always be to attention to undertake policy dialogue and debate on development practice and challenge, which lead to policy with current development demand. Agricultural transformation cannot also be realized unless otherwise funds is secured boost from domestic and external sources. Therefore, we need to be vigilant in availing funds for agriculture for all possible sources with increased public financial investment. Promoting intra-Africa trade is highly acknowledged in the conference. However, breaching barriers and trade restrictions among African countries will require support from AOC as well as regional economic communities. Therefore, effort along this line must be strengthened as clearly discussed in this conference. The need to strengthen research and establishment of country SARS to generate and share evidence-based analysis, outcome-based policy planning, quality data management, knowledge sharing, which is very crucial to facilitate the implementation of African state declarations to accelerate the realization of CADA vision. Once again, I would like to thank African Union Commission, IFPRI and ReSAKSS for their valuable contribution for the successful completion of this conference. Secondly, I would like to pass my heartfelt appreciation to all participants for unreserved contribution. Finally, I invite you to join in Addis in the remaining time and conclude my closing remarks by wishing you all safe way back home. Thank you.